Across Europe, and even in early America, there are recorded cases of people being declared vampires, not in legends, but in official reports, church records, and eyewitness accounts. These are some of the documented cases where fear of the undead led to real actions and real consequences. Petar Blagojević, Kisiljevo, Serbia, 1725. In 1725, in the village of Kisiljevo, present-day Serbia, a series of unexplained deaths triggered one of the first officially recorded vampire investigations in Europe. 9 villagers died within 8 days, shortly after the death of a man named Petar Blagojević. On their deathbeds, several claimed that Blagojević had visited them at night. The villagers believed he had returned from the grave. They appealed to Austrian official Ernst Frombald, who agreed to witness the exhumation. His report, later sent to Vienna, described what they found. The body was completely undecomposed. The hair and beard had grown, and the mouth was covered in fresh blood. In my presence, and that of the village priest and others, the body was staked through the heart. It emitted a terrible cry, and blood gushed from the ears and mouth. The corpse was then burned, in accordance with local custom. This became one of the earliest documented vampire cases in Europe, and it helped spread the fear far beyond Kisiljevo. Just 1 year later, another report emerged, from the village of Medwegna, near Belgrade. Arnold Paole, a former soldier, had once claimed he was attacked by a vampire in Greece. He believed he had cured himself by eating dirt from the vampire's grave and smearing himself with its blood. After his accidental death, villagers began to report sightings, and more deaths followed. A military medical team was sent to investigate. They exhumed Paole's body 40 days after burial. According to their report, we found that the body was undecayed. Blood had flowed from the eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. The skin and nails had fallen off, and new ones had grown. All signs matched the criteria for a vampire. The body was staked, burned, and the ashes scattered. But that wasn't the end. 17 more graves were opened. Several corpses showed the same undecomposed features. This report, Visum et Repertum, was widely read in Vienna and across Europe. It helped ignite the vampire panic of the 18th century. In 1892, in Exeter, Rhode Island, the Brown family was suffering. Tuberculosis had already taken George Brown's wife, then his eldest daughter. His son Edwin was gravely ill. And then, 19-year-old Mercy Brown died. Locals began to suspect the dead were somehow feeding on the living. With George's permission, Mercy's body was exhumed. While other corpses had fully decomposed, Mercy's heart still had blood in it. Despite a doctor explaining the cold may have preserved her, the townspeople burned her heart and liver. The ashes were mixed with water and given to Edwin as a cure. He died 2 months later. Jure Grando, Kringa, Istria, modern-day Croatia, 1656 to 1672. The first vampire ever recorded in writing may have been Jure Grando. He died in 1656. But for 16 years, villagers said he walked the streets at night, knocking on doors, and those who heard the knock would die soon after. A priest tried rituals, but the appearances continued. Eventually, the villagers exhumed him. They found the body preserved with a strange grin. He looked as if he had just fallen asleep, and a hideous grin was fixed on his face. The villagers attempted to pierce his heart, but the stake could not penetrate the body. They decapitated him with an axe. After that, the visitations stopped. The Vampire of Croglin Grange, Cumbria, England, late 1800s. This story was published in the 1890s by Augustus Hare, who claimed it came from a real English family. In Croglin, Cumbria, a young woman was bitten by a strange figure with glowing eyes. Her brothers chased it, but it vanished. Later, they searched a crypt and found a mummified body with fresh blood at its mouth. They burned it. The attack stopped. The Shoemaker of Breslau, Wrocław, Poland, 1591. In the late 1500s, in the city of Breslau. Today, Wrocław, in Poland, a shoemaker named Weinricius passed away under unusual circumstances. He was buried promptly, as was the custom. But months later, townspeople claimed to see him again. They reported late-night visits and unexplained bruises after waking. Fearing something unnatural, local officials opened his grave about 7 months after burial. The body was reportedly intact. The skin was described as unnaturally tight. A mark was noted on his foot, which some believed had special meaning. The remains were destroyed, and the ashes scattered in the nearby river. The Revenant of Exeter, England, 12th century. One of the oldest accounts comes from William of Newburgh, a 12th century historian. He tells of a man buried near Exeter who returned each night to haunt the village. People he visited became sick and died. When the grave was opened, the corpse was found bloated with blood. The villagers, horrified, burned it to ashes. William wrote that these events were not rare, but happened frequently and in many places. If you think these are just a few cases, remember, these are only the recorded ones. Who knows how many others were buried in silence or lost to time?